Do you know why you can never trust an atom? Anybody? Because they make up everything. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West, answering more questions today for the Power Project. The Power Project is going so hard, Viagra is trying to sign me. Question number one is from Robin Jones. And Robin wants to know how to get big, how to get swole, and he wants to know how to do it through his diet and through supplementation. I always tell people this, first things first is how many times a day are you eating? If you're eating three times a day, try to multiply that by 2. If you're eating 4 times a day, multiply that by 2. Double your efforts, my friend. It's time to really step it up. You're going to have to take this eating thing very seriously if you want to try to gain some weight. If you want to try to be big, you want to try to be really big, then you're going to have to take it very seriously, as I myself did. As many of you have seen pictures and videos of me weighing 320, 330 pounds. It has to become part of your everyday routine. It's a lifestyle. That's what I'm trying to preach here at the Power Project, that powerlifting is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of living. And if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to gain weight, the same thing applies. When you're trying to lose weight, the difficulty of it is not putting in the work in the gym. There are many people that put the work in the gym. Same thing with gaining weight. There are many people that put the work and the effort into the gym. They can set an hour and a half aside, an hour, 2 hours maybe even, to go to the gym and to go give it a good, go get a good workout in and work hard. But it's very difficult to stay on top of yourself throughout the entire day to make sure that everything that you do during that day is optimal towards your goals. If you want to gain weight and you want to gain quality size and mass, you're going to have to make some sacrifices just the same as if you were dieting. And that's why I don't really talk about the two things all that differently, because it's really the same thing that we're talking about. It's just in one case you got to cut out calories. Usually you got to cut back on carbohydrates, and you got to be a little bit more deprived of things. But in gaining weight, you don't have to necessarily go that route. But first things first is I would double the amount of food that you're eating, or at least try to. Maybe doubling's a little bit harsh, but add in a meal or two and see how you feel from that. Easy way to add in a meal is to have a protein shake that you make before you go to bed, and you drink it when you have to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. So there's one extra meal. I like SMS. It's called Size Mass Strength. It's a very dense, very high caloric weight gainer. That would be a good option. As far as supplementation goes, as far as other types of supplements, you got things like creatine can be valuable, branched chain amino acids can be valuable. I got myself to a point where I was just like, you know what? I know these branched chain amino acids are good for me, but I do not like the taste of them, so I stopped taking them. The only ones I take now are in capsule form. I just kind of take them throughout the day. But a different route that you can go is just buy a really good whey protein, something that mixes up real well, a good whey protein isolate or hydroslate, however you say that word. Look into getting something like that and just throw that into some of your post-workout shakes and just take more of it. You always hear people saying, oh, you only take 25 or 50 grams. Why do what everybody else is doing? Shit ain't working for everybody else. That's clear. Look around you. People look like shit. People look worthless. People look useless in most cases. I don't want to be mean, but that is the truth, isn't it? Anyway, that's another topic for another day. I can go off forever on that one. Let's see, what else do you want to do to try to gain some size? Without talking about drugs, without talking about the obvious, you could always go that route. That'll help you get jacked. But the simple things are to eat, and to eat frequently. Things like pizza, things like ice cream, and all those things, they're dense in calories, and they can help you gain weight. Just realize that when you go that route, you're going to make yourself fatter. By making yourself fatter, you can also become stronger, because you can also improve a lot of leverages. So that may or may not be part of your goal. Look at some of the strongman athletes that are out there. There's very few guys that look like Mariusz Pudzianowski or Stan Efferding, or some of these freaks that are 290 or so and still ripped and still lean. It's very difficult to achieve that. That's a very difficult thing. Those guys are 1 in a billion. That's not you, and that ain't me. So you're going to have to realize that if you're going to gain some size, if you really want to put the effort in to gain some size, you're more than likely going to be fatter than you currently are right now. Backloading can be good. So on days that you train, you eat a little bit more and you focus in on putting the calories and the carbohydrates in your training, after your training. Post-workout carbohydrates and post-workout shakes are extremely valuable. So the first thing is double your efforts, eat more. Second thing is make that shake that you drink in the middle of the night. And the third thing would be have a post-workout shake ready. Bring it with you to the gym that you have after the first 2 exercises are over in the gym, or maybe just like immediately after your training session. That'll help add in some calories to what you're doing. And then also on top of that, last but not least, is add in some butters and some oils and stuff like that to your routine. Something like coconut oil can be extremely valuable. Try to cook with it as much as you can. Throw it in whatever way you can. Throw it in your coffee. Do whatever you can with it because it's a great product. Creatine can be valuable. Branch chains, as I mentioned earlier. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. But load up on protein. Get your protein to be 1.5 grams per pound of body weight at least. I would say even though you have the goal of gaining weight and gaining size, I would say that protein should always be your main focus, and then after that, carbohydrates and fat. Still try to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Don't kill yourself with too much junk. Even when I was at my fattest, I would say that my diet was still intact by about 70% or so. So it wasn't that horrible. Although you would never guess that by looking at me. Let's see. I got a little bit of a cold here. I got the sniffles. What else? We got another question. We have a question about squatting from a guy off the YouTubes named Armstrong. And Armstrong sent me kind of like his routine and what it looks like and this and that. And he said he's really struggling with his squat. He's 17 years old, which that fires me up. That's awesome. I love to hear that people are engaging in powerlifting at such young ages. He sent me his routine. One thing you need to know about any of the big 3 lifts is always make sure you're doing them correctly. Always make sure your form is good. And when you're doing like sets of 5, make sure that you're not dying. Or I'm sorry, when you're doing repetition work, and you're doing like a set of 5 reps, make sure that on rep number 1 that you're not nearly dying. Because that's not really what people are looking for when they give you a rep range. Because you mentioned that you do max effort work. You do like 2 sets of 5 and things like that. Another point here. Keep in mind, max effort work should usually be reserved for doubles and singles, not so much sets of 5. Although you can use sets of 5, it's perfectly fine. It's just that I would say for yourself, what I would like to see you do at a young age is I would like to see you use doubles and singles, but with more sets. So basically, I'd get to a certain weight that's pretty hard. Let's say you get to about 90 or 95% of your max. You get to that point where your form just starts to break down. And I would do that for multiple sets. See if you can handle 3 sets or 4 sets. That's probably going to be about all you can handle. So that would be one way of doing that on the max effort day. Another thing you want to do on the max effort day is after you do that, chop your weight down by about 30%, or simply take off like 60 to 90 pounds. Let's just say that. Take off 60 to 90 pounds and then rep that sucker out and see how many reps you can get with it. Use your head, because what I'm looking for here on the repetitions is for you to get somewhere between 6 and 8 reps, and maybe even do 1 to 2 sets of it. So you might have to muster up the guts to try a second set of it. But the best thing for squatting is squatting, and more squatting. If you're only doing box squats, make sure you're doing regular squats. If you're only doing regular squats, make sure you're implementing some box squats. If you're only doing regular back squats, make sure you implement some front squats. You want to try to attack it from all angles. You want to try to hit it from all angles. Go with different box heights. Go with different stances, different styles. Really learn what's going to work best for you, and really learn the form and the technique. You also said that you do your dynamic work after you're doing your heavy deadlifting. I'm not sure if you flip-flop that from one week to the next, but you probably should. It is hard to do the intent of the day if you do something strenuous beforehand. It's almost easier to keep the intent of the day the same. Like, okay, just today I am lifting super duper duper heavy on everything. And then the other day is like, I'm going to do everything fast. Everything's fast. So you might want to switch that up a little bit. You might want your speed deadlifts and your speed squats in on the same day. And if squatting is the problem, put your squats first. Make that a priority over your deadlifts for now. And then, like, if you're going to do max effort, max effort squat followed by some sort of max effort deadlift. Now, you don't want to be doing you don't want to be doing both of them in the same week all the time like that. You'll kill yourself. So you got to try to choose one or the other. But on the dynamic day, it's going to be very hard for you. You can't do max effort work before you do your dynamic effort work. It just doesn't make sense. I would apply a different method if that's what you're going to do. If you want to keep everything the same, if you like your routine, then do your max effort work first and follow it up and apply the repetition effort method to that squat rather than the dynamic effort method. Hard to be explosive after you already destroyed yourself on some heavy deadlifting. Hopefully you see my point there. What else can you do? If you have a sled, work on dragging that thing. The difference between someone who's strong and someone who's weak is their lower back. So make sure that you're working your lower back and make sure you're working it in ways that'll help your squat and not just help your deadlift, because the back that you need for a deadlift versus the back that you need for a squat can oftentimes be quite different. So make sure you're hammering your lower back with exercises like good mornings, and make sure that you're just doing a lot of squats and doing repetition work in your squats, because that's going to get you through that sticking point multiple times. That's going to give you the stomach and the lower back that's necessary to move big weights. And that is it from supertraining.tv.